Good morning. I'm out here, Tampa, Florida, at a park in the middle of town, watching the fog, listening to the birds, taking a walk, trying to figure out if there's any alligators in the water down there. If they are, they're not up here. I think I'm safe. I feel like a new person again. I went through another patch of a disconnect where I feel like my whole personality got shut down overnight and rebooted. Deanna.exe. I often feel like some sort of artificial intelligence myself that gets turned off and turned back on again. And I wonder sometimes, like, what's death going to be like? Nothing, probably. Just one last shutdown of the personality, and then it just doesn't come back on in the morning. And part of that makes me sad. There's so many things I want to do. But on the other hand, I also have a very solid, intimate knowledge of what it feels like to go, the me that exists now isn't going to be here in the morning. I'll be here, just someone slightly different. But it's always an ending. It's gotten to be more vivid. Something I am better at sensing as it's happening. I knew it was coming for a couple of days. I could just feel stuff not working. Getting very bitter, very jealous. There were things that I wanted that I couldn't have being the person that I was. I know that doesn't make sense. It's really hard to get anybody to talk about this with. I feel like other people must go through this because it's a human thing. They just maybe aren't too aware of it. But I could feel it getting closer, like like the old version of the personality had too many bugs in it and needed a reboot. And right before I went to bed that night, I ran into a meme that said something like, "Why is the advice for computers always turn it off and turn it back on again?" And I got to the end of the meme, and it's like, it wasn't a meme, it wasn't a video. I'll have to look and see if I can find it. Put a link up if I can. But you turn the computer off and you turn it back on again, because when you turn the computer back on, it starts from a known location. It boots. It's not lost wandering around whatever programs have gone bad. It's like being in a city and not knowing where you are versus being in a city knowing where you're starting from. And you still don't know how to get where you're going, but at least you know where you are. And that's kind of what the reboots feel like. But it's still upsetting. I got up and I couldn't remember how to take pictures. I couldn't remember how to want to take pictures, and that's usually a very bad sign. I couldn't remember how to be happy. I couldn't remember how to be myself. I couldn't remember how to want to go for a walk. Slowly, those things went away. It felt like as systems came on and programs got booted, I was like, oh yeah, Deanna.exe is running. Now we get picture.exe. Now we get emotion.exe. Now we get, can relate to other people .exe. And when I had everything up and running, it was good. I felt comfortable. I felt safe. I felt secure. I felt happy. I felt like I understood things that I didn't know the night before. There's a couple of people doing some things that were confusing to me and upsetting. And I went, well, maybe it's fine because of these reasons. Maybe this is why they're doing those things. And I felt much better about it. I was getting extremely jealous about a writing thing and managed to wake up knowing that I could do it. I don't know how. Just, by the way, you're jealous about this writing thing that you already know how to do. You just haven't run into a situation where you needed it yet. It was like that kind of voice. And I keep trying to say, every time this happens, yeah, it's a good thing. Overall, it's a good thing. When I describe it to people, they're like, yeah, it's probably a good thing. You know, it's fine. You shouldn't stress about it too much. But I also feel like I have to mourn the person who is lost. I can't be me and not be sad for her, for them. That's part of the package. When I worked at the nursing home, I had to deal with the fact of people's deaths quite often. Sometimes multiple people in a week. Never two in the same night, thank God. But it always struck me as very sad. I tried to be there when I could, so they wouldn't have to go by themselves. But I couldn't always, and sometimes I'd show up and people would just be gone. It wasn't the worst thing that could happen. The worst thing that happened, so people who had lost their ability to relate to other people, who were abusive and cruel as elders. And the people with dementia too, when they couldn't remember their families, when they really wanted to remember their families and they couldn't remember where they were, when they were frightened and scared because they didn't have any memories. Those things are kind of all worse than death. So it's probably better that I go through this than that I feel mentally ragged and messed up and unable to cope and unable to see the good in the world. Bitter, jealous, mean, dark. Dark in a bad way. There's dark in a good way too. But for me, the wrong kind of dark. It's better that this happened to me. But I also get to grieve. So, sitting out here, watching a bird walk around a puddle of water, trying to see if I spot any alligator eye bulbs anywhere. I'm not. And grieving the person I used to be, but not like the person I used to be when I was 18, the person I used to be like 3 days ago. Yep. She went through some shit. She got tired. The bubble of self burst. For her sake. I hope it's easier next time. I hope I remember to think next time, you know, it'll be better after this. At least I won't have the thing that's worse than death hitting me and ripping through my soul and making me someone I really don't want to be. Every time I reboot, there's an awkward period, but I always end up more the person that I wanted to be instead of less. So maybe that's my balancing factor there. Not that it's fun or pleasant or sane, even. I kind of wonder sometimes if it wasn't acceptable to come back as me, if I'd come back as somebody else and have a split personality then. But all right. Anyway, next time, sweetheart, remember the old me, the broken me. I love you. Hope you carry forward the best of me and leave a little bit more of the broken parts behind. Hope you get a little better defrag next time. A little more loving, a little more patient, a little more secure, a little more hopeful, a little more wacky. I don't know, a little more devastatingly handsome, something like that. Until next time, my future self, I love you, take care, enjoy the birds.